Don't worry about it.
Don't worry.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. Just don't, okay? Just don't. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Scientifically Speaking. Today, I have two like the best guests in the world of whatever in the news. Jake, why do you look like that? You look like you look like a grandpa sitting at a dinner table who just does not want to listen to everyone's news.
Be here.
Here. I'm already.
She's here. She's queer. Get used to it. All right. So I have two amazing guests today. I have Jake Trippett and Paula Gonzalez. Jake is a research technician applying to MD and MD PhD programs. So you know he's smart. He attained his master's in bioengineering at Rice University and his bachelor's degree in neuroscience at George Washington University. And my second guest is Paula, and she's in her third year of undergrad at Wellesley College. She's a chemistry major with a woman and gender studies minor, and she is on the pre-med track. She's interested in applying to MD, MPH, and or MD PhD programs. Also, last bit of information, she is currently studying abroad in Germany. Okay, so for those that don't know, Paula was our undergrad. That was
my undergrad.
Our undergrad. Our as in the lab. Oh my God. Y'all, this is literally already. This is what I have to put up with. This is literally what I have to put up with in lab all the time. So yeah, Paula was our undergrad student in the lab. She was working under, Paula, you were working under Jake. You were here for how long? Like 6 weeks, right?
Yeah, no. It was early June till I think the first week of August.
Yep.
So like 2 months in some change.
Oh, yeah. And
it felt like 6 weeks to you.
I mean, it's about the same, right? Like what, 10 weeks or so? About?
Mm-hmm.
It was very short-lived. Like I just remember saying hi to you, like literally, like Rosalia, like chewing my gum and just, who are you? Who the fuck are you? Really, like we got along so well. It was so fun when you joined our lab, and then everything has just been going downhill ever since you left. Lab caught on fire. We were just throwing a fit. I was throwing a fit that you were gone, and yeah. So I felt the need to destroy the lab, and it's been so fun. It's been so fun, but also I'm just trying to just mend my achy breaky heart. Right now you're in Germany. You've been in, oh my gosh, Germany. Fun fact: Germany is one of the few countries that has like a separate name for itself in its own language. Deutschland.
Deutschland. Yeah.
Wow, I honestly am like a German native. I think I should just be born.
Oh,
like
for real. You would fit in.
How's living in Deutschland so far?
It's very fun. I'm living like in a small town in the north called Bremen. So I think my experience might be a little different compared to like the major cities like Berlin and Munich. But I've been traveling almost every weekend.
I know.
My experience is very short-lived. Like I'm like here during the week and some weekends, but other than that, I've been going to as many countries as I can.
I've been keeping up on your Be Real, girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure plane tickets are super cheap, right?
Yes. Anyone who's traveling abroad, Ryanair is a blessing. It's this airline. It's literally like Spirit.
Yeah.
But it's like for example, I bought to London from here a $50 round trip flight.
$50?
Just to like London. $50, yes.
That is like all you can eat Korean barbecue right there. What the heck?
No, it's so cheap. It's so like the flights and the trains are pretty affordable, especially like because I'm studying as a student. So I have covered like a very big part of Germany for like the trains. So I just went to Amsterdam this weekend and I only paid $20 for like the part of the Netherlands. Like round trip.
That is like 2 Chipotle burritos with guac. and a
Yeah.
drink.
Literally,
Holy
like,
fuck.
mhm.
All right, Deutschland, I'm going to be there soon. I'm going to move there. Okay. Here's the thing. Anyone that knows me growing up, I am probably the most annoyingly frugal person you will ever meet. All these clothes right now I'm wearing right now, I've had it since like 2015. I don't shop a lot. Most of the money that is spent generally goes on food. I don't buy any electronics. I don't treat myself except with food. And
Spoken
so
like a true PhD student.
And so the time that I do buy the time when I do buy something, this is what I'm working on.
You splurge.
I not splurge, but like when I buy something, I want it now, you know? And
What's the day in Parks and Rec where they're like treat yourself day? That should be
Treat
for you.
yourself. Treat yourself.
no,
Treat yourself
I could never.
One day a year. You
It's been
deserve it.
it's been so long since I've gone shopping too. The last time I gone shopping was probably early this year because my boyfriend and I we went thrift shopping and bought this really cute like 80s fit. But anyway,
Oh.
the whole point is I'm frugal and I bought an iPhone 14, okay? But I've had my iPhone 10 for like 4 years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I've had it for 4 years, yes. And so I want, you know, and so the new iPhone came out. And so after seeing one of my friends, when he took pictures on his iPhone, I was like, oh, dang. I think I need to buy one too. I mean, I don't need to buy one, but I was like, I want to buy one, you know? And so I bought one and I love it. I don't know if y'all saw my recent Instagram video. It's the bottle girl service one.
Mhm.
That was
I haven't seen it yet.
That
I
was
haven't
shot on
seen
the
it yet, but I will go see it.
Shot on my phone.
That was shot on the iPhone 14. Like, honestly, I need to be on the Apple ad. Like,
Honestly, you would fit in well.
yeah, if y'all need a person of color, if y'all need someone gay,
There you go.
if you need,
They're probably the most diverse ads already, so I don't
Yeah.
know.
if you need someone who is pro-vaccine, honestly, like, trifecta.
There you go.
Gay, Asian, pro-vax. You know, I am the ultimate trifecta.
Triple threat.
Imagine if I was like, imagine if I said pro-jab.
Jake's the hype man.
This guy right here.
Honestly, I need to hire you as my hype man, just to like walk around.
Low key, yes. Because all he's doing is affirming your thoughts. He's like, yes, trifecta, triple threat.
I feel like when you were an undergrad, that's what Jake did. He like hyped you up the entire time.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like sometimes you did like a lot of questionable things, and I'm like, okay. And then Jake was like, "You're doing so good." Okay,
Shut up.
I'm kidding.
Jared's like, I wouldn't do it like that, but go ahead.
I mean, yeah, like I wouldn't do it like that. I mean,
I haven't learned how to be a lab scientist in 2 years. Do you think I expect her to learn how to be a lab scientist in 2 months?
No, but the rate that you were learning was very impressive. Girl, you got mounting down. Your sections look so good.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. That was so much fun. You know, when the student takes after the professor.
I think it took me about like probably a year and a half to like learn how to mount the section.
Really?
Yeah. And you learned it in the span of like 10 weeks, girl.
Darian and I are so bad at mounting.
Well, I feel like
we had to create ingenious ways of mounting in different ways so that we
floating.
I think it just goes to show that women are better than men.
Yeah, true.
In all forms.
Absolutely, scientifically speaking and everything.
Ooh, you know how when you're watching a movie and like someone says the title of the movie, or when you're reading a book, someone says the title of the book and you're just like, oh, that was literally me with you right now when you said scientifically speaking. I'm like, oh, she said the
my
podcast.
Show.
She said the podcast.
Free promo. Are you gonna charge me? No.
Yeah, I actually am going to send you an invoice, and you can just Venmo me, honestly. Just Venmo me. Are you like working in a lab right now in Deutschland?
I wanted to, but I've had to learn a lot about the cultural differences from Germany and the US.
Yeah.
And I tried to go for a more chem-focused lab here just because I've done mostly biochem or like, the neuroscience. Like I've
Right.
done very like
Yeah.
other research that isn't strictly chem related. And it just did not work out. Like the scheduling and like what I wanted to do this semester, it was more stress than needed. So for the first
Yeah.
time since starting like college, have not worked in the lab, which is
I
pretty
think that's
nice, but
fair.
also very different.
I think that's fair. Going to a country you don't speak the language in and not wanting to join a lab. I think that's
Yeah.
okay.
And then the customs are just very different because I have like a school email here and I have my homeschool email. So the communication was off, and the master student I was going to be working with, let's just say I had very high standards after I finished with Jake. And
Ooh.
it's not that she's bad. She's just like her approach was very like, I guess, aggressive, not aggressive. See, that's what I'm saying, like confrontational and more like direct. And I just don't work well with that, especially for a lab that's first semester for fun, not graded, not paid.
Right.
I said, no, ma'am. I can go back next semester and work on a project, but I was like, no thanks.
Yeah, I think working under Jake has like spoiled you. Like with like his personality and his teaching, I guess, or whatever. It's really good, like for real.
No, absolutely.
Jake, you are such like a good mentor. You're so patient.
Absolutely. No, I've literally said I've been blessed with good research people. Like
Yeah.
like my lab experiences so far have been 10 out of 10, including like the lab where I worked with you guys. And coming here and seeing that, I was like, I've never been treated. And it's not to say it's like Germany. I'm just saying it's like, different customs. Like I'm only here for a semester and I'm a study abroad student. So it's like, I don't know how they work, but I'm also not a freshman. So like, they don't know how to treat me, So, but yeah, I was like, I've been very spoiled, like with how I've been treated in the labs.
That's interesting. If anyone is listening and you're from Germany and you work in a lab, please, no, for real. Please let me know what your lab is like.
There are some phenomenal labs in Germany, but
yeah,
there are also
the lab is doing.
Yeah, they're also difficult.
The lab is doing like.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like doing really, really cool research, and they have like a lot of funding, like because it's so, everyone talks about how like it's very important research, like they do really, really cool things. And so I just feel like it just wasn't the right time for me. It just conflicted. They demanded a lot, and that's okay. I can't give a lot this semester. I have other things to do.
I think you've given enough especially to the pre-med thing. I think you've given more than enough. You've done more than enough. You deserve a semester to have fun in Germany.
Exactly.
Especially
that's
abroad.
What we're doing.
I didn't start doing research until the end of my sophomore year. You started so young.
Yeah.
I hate saying that.
I did.
Yeah, you started
You're still young.
You started. I know you started so young, and so you're already you're already a step ahead, So you deserve a break, girl. You're in a different country. Like, have fun. Have fun. Make the most of it. You don't want to come back to the U.S. and be like, dang, I wish I had spent more time doing this, and rather than being like in this type of lab, You just reminded me of a story. So it's always interesting to hear different lab cultures across various countries. My last lab, our first rotation student, I won't say his country of origin, but he's not from the US. And he said that back in his home country, they often worked, it was very common to work 6 out of the 7 days of the week. And they would work about 9 to 9. Monday to Saturday, and then everyone just had like a day off. And I remember him saying like how stressful it was in that lab. When he rotated in our lab, he was like, despite working in my previous lab, Monday to Saturday, 9 to 9, for some reason, I feel more stress in this lab than my previous lab. I was like, oh, T. But anyway, yeah, so it's interesting to see like how various labs are. Everyone listening, y'all don't understand how much of a struggle it was to plan this episode because we had to change the date like 3 times. Because because Paula's in Germany and certain times during the day would only work for you. And then Jake, you're interviewing for med schools. And so certain days when we wanted to record this episode, like, oh, sorry, there's a last minute interview. How was a recent interview?
It was good. It was good. I've been pretty lucky to interview at some pretty amazing schools.
Do you want to say their names or no?
I mean,
You don't have to.
I'll probably
drop some names. Drop some names. Flex a little bit on them.
Hey, there it is.
No. I think every single school I've interviewed with is just I'm more like thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah.
Than like worried about like the name or anything like that. That's what I'm like. They're giving me a chance, and that's what I will like always rank them as the best schools, is because they're giving me a chance. I'm very like particular about that. Like if someone is willing to give me a chance, I want to be able to give them as much as I can. So like those schools that have given me interviews, and it's been a few, it's been more than I expected, and they're amazing schools. So I'm very happy with what I have right now. So
Jake,
I think it has to be noted that the whole summer I spent with Jake, this man was meticulously on his computer, researching stats and schools. Like I don't think I've ever, well, obviously I'm like in a point right now in my life that if someone, like I'm going to start seeing people, you know, going through that process, but I hadn't seen that directly. I don't think I've ever seen someone as committed or just knows so much. Like I learned so much about the medical school process, like applications, what to look for, because of Jake, because this man, like, you know, not in a bad way, his stress was driving him. So he was like researching every little
this
bit that
dude
he could.
Was you were writing like working on secondary apps for like 10 different schools every day, right?
I wrote over 150 different essays. Yeah.
That is wild. I could never. I know. And you wrote a lot of these, just like first time, take a break, look back at it, edit, and then send it. Am I right?
I did a lot of Grammarly. That was like I'm not a
not the sponsorship drop. Hello everyone, today's episode is sponsored by Grammarly. No, I wish. But Grammarly, if you're listening, please sponsor me. Please. I want a Grammarly sponsor so bad.
They're unbelievably useful. But like I'm not a great writer, so like I needed to at least make sure my grammar was good. So that was a godsend, you know. But other than that,
Jeanette just slacked me.
Who's Jeanette?
She is a grad student in the other lab. Okay, I'll slack her later. I was using the Krause app this morning, and do you know what a Krause app is, Paula?
I remember you showed me. It's the one where it like freezes it and then sections it like at a, is it?
Yeah. No, not me testing you on this podcast.
I told her that I cut my finger on a Krause test.
Oh, true. That's how she remembered.
Sliced open on a Krause test, yeah.
Honestly, you need those references to remember things. For those that don't know, a Krause app, I like to think of it as like when you go to like a deli place and you want like, I don't know, a salami sandwich. And they grab the big old piece of meat and they put it on a little slicer, and then they have like this little, they can either like manually move the block back to slice the meat. The Krause app is very similar to that in that it keeps the tissue, whatever tissue, in our case, mouse brain tissue, frozen, and you mount it on this little platform, and then you can move the platform up and down in front of a razor, and it cuts it at very thin slices. I think as thin as 5 microns to probably as thick as like 100 microns. In our lab, we don't have a cryostat. We have a vibratome or a microtome. One of those. Microtome. And I don't know, I'm a cryostat kind of girl. So we use another lab's cryostat. Within the cryostat, there's like a little weight that I don't know, it's like attached to the little rotor. And the weight thing is kind of broken. And so it's been, I won't say malfunctioning. You just have to wiggle it around to make it work. And Jeanette from another lab is planning to use a cryostat tonight. She just slacked me. How is it broken? I will slack her after this call. So yeah, that's what I've been doing this morning. But anyway, back to Jake. Talking about, what were we talking about? Oh, sheesh, Sharoni.
The med school application.
Oh, the med school application. Also, okay, Jake, here's the thing. I like your whole spiel about you being grateful that you're being interviewed by them. But I think you're downplaying a lot of your successes and your achievements. Like, yeah, you should be grateful, but like they should also be grateful that you accepted their offer to be interviewed, you know?
Mm-hmm. No,
For those,
I totally understand. I think it's a mutual respect between both. Obviously, I gave my time as much as possible, and they gave me their time. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I'm just like I didn't know how much I was gonna get. I didn't know if I would get anything, right? I was fully prepared for that. Like I like where I am now, so I knew I was confident like I could apply again.
Mhm.
But I'm pretty confident I'll be in medical school next year, obviously. So so
Are you still planning to choose MD, PhD over MD?
I have a couple MD PhDs that I've interviewed. I haven't obviously heard anything because it's very soon, very early
Right.
in the
True.
process now. Right now, the schools I am, because again, it's Texas, right? The Texas batch and everything is so weird. Like I have some really good MDs that I'm like hoping about that I've already gotten one
Yeah.
MD, thankfully, right? That I'm ecstatic about, but I want to see like where I'm at in March, and
Mhm.
that I have to tell people by May. So like I have plenty of time, but I have some schools that I really want to go to that I've interviewed at. So we'll see.
Like
We-
what? Name some.
I mean, an assortment of
I'm kidding.
Texas
I'm
schools.
kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Ah.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh, yeah. What's your question, girl?
I remember in the summer, how much did you expect to get and how many have you gotten? Because if you don't want to
Well,
say names, I still want to hear numbers.
I've only gotten into one medical school so far. So
You got it?
Girl,
to one,
yes. Come on.
Only one? That's all it takes.
I know.
One.
Hey,
That's all
I
it
know.
takes.
To one MD.
Okay.
To one MD, but obviously still waiting to hear back on a lot of different schools. I don't know. I think that I said I expected to like get around 4 interviews, and I think I've gotten 5, and that's 30 schools.
Mhm.
So that's
That's really good.
That's
I was
good.
pretty close on around. Yeah, and I'm very happy about that. And 2 MD PhDs that I've interviewed with, I love both programs a lot. It'll be difficult to decide between both of those and MDs that I get into, But I'm trying to like, I'll be honest. I mean, the main thing right now is, do they have the right research that I want to be a part of? So I'm very in depth into that. And then also for my girlfriend, if she can be able to do what she wants to do in those areas. So those are like the main things I'm looking at right now. Because I know I'm going to be a great doctor if I go to those 2 medical schools. I know
Yeah.
they're amazing schools. They will teach me to be an amazing physician. It's whether I can be happy in the PhD side of things, really enjoying the labs, really enjoying the research. And right now, both of those schools, I've really enjoyed learning about what they have, and I think that they would be a great fit. I just need to find specific labs, but that kind of comes in the MD PhD, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident that both of them are incredible in that regard. But again, I have to hear back from them, so I don't know. We'll see.
Such a political response.
I know.
I want all the schools out there, if they're listening to scientifically speaking, just yeah. But to know that I'm really am appreciative, because I would not have guessed this at all.
I knew. I already knew just by looking at the work ethic.
No,
I already
okay.
knew.
It's one of those things like we're happy for you. We're super excited, but we're not surprised. You know what I mean? Like we know, like, of course it's gonna happen. And I think it's your natural response to feel worried, to feel stress over it. But I think we all knew that you shouldn't have done all that because you're gonna get in regardless, you know? You are a very smart, I guess, or whatever. You're a very smart person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And you have like
Jake's
such
gonna ask
great
for a
work.
copy of this recording so he can get the proof that Darian is complimenting him.
Like, do y'all include audio clips in your applications? Because I would love to include this. This is actually my letter of recommendation for you, but in audio form.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So if you ever need a letter of recommendation, a video, I got you.
Yeah.
I'll send you a cameo.
But I know y'all want like more juicy answers, but there really isn't anything juicy about this. Like,
No.
It's just kind of happy with what I have.
Here's the misconception. Every time I ask someone to be on the podcast, I have to like finesse my friends to getting on the podcast, because they always tell me, there's nothing dramatic in my life. There's nothing, and it really does have to be dramatic. It's just, I think what I really like listening is hearing everyone overcome an obstacle, Like here's some things that you're worrying about. And it always just happens naturally to be science. And so I'm like, okay, this is actually perfect for the podcast. But I think a lot of people will resonate with your story. You know, what I love reading in my in the comments and direct messages is, hey, I just listened to this episode and thank you for having this guest on because I feel the exact same way. And so your story doesn't have to be juicy. If anything, if it's relatable, like you're already making a difference. You know what I mean? By being on this podcast. Anyway, I hate being serious in this podcast. It's just, I have so many subscriptions, video editing programs, Google Photos, backing up stuff, Apple storage, whatever. And just I'm spending so much money on just like subscriptions on some of these. Well, I guess it kind of pays itself back. You know what I mean? But like even this podcasting platform, Acast, if you're listening, why you gotta do this, huh? Why you do this to me? I don't want to pay money. And Zoom, why can't Zoom be free? Wait, I wonder if there's another program.
Why does it kick you off? Because like I have Zoom meetings all the time that are over an hour and I don't have Zoom Pro. Is it because like you're scheduling it a certain way, or
the person that is putting together the meeting, they probably have the Zoom Pro from the university.
Yeah.
Oh no, like me.
Oh, what is
Who are you joining? Are you joining someone that has a university account?
Yeah. Is that why?
Yeah. That's exactly
Darian, what about your Rice email?
I'm using my Rice email. I'm using my Rice, and it doesn't work.
Darian,
I know.
Because you were only a tech. I was a student and a tech, so I kind of have this student thing.
Okay, first of all, you make it sound like I'm so insignificant. I am not just a tech, okay? Also,
you're a multimedia
no.
famous man. I get it, but
in my old lab, I remember I was in the elevator and some people were just like, entering the elevator and they're like, oh, whose lab are you a part of? And I'm like, oh, I'm in so-and-so's lab. And they're like, oh, like, so are you a grad student? And I'm like, no, I'm just a research tech. And then they looked me dead in the eyes. And this is like a movie scene. They said, you're not just a research tech. You're an important member of the lab. So stop saying just. Okay. I was like, oh, damn. So I've stopped saying just. And I correct people when they say just, because I am not just a research tech. Bitch, I'm the research tech.
Period.
Period. So
Jake's like, and what about me?
I feel like a student. So I still feel like a student.
Bitch, you are the student. You are the research tech. Paula, you are the undergrad. Okay? Let's petition to change.
I know this.
Yes. Petition to change just to the.
That's not about Paula.
And stop saying a. I'm
That's
a research
something about
tech.
Paula. I noticed real quick when I started working with her was that, like, I try to hype people up. You can't hype Paula up because she's already hyped up.
You can't hype the hyper.
Like, I would say, like,
you can hype.
I would say, like,
I'm just always gonna be hyped.
You did really good on this, and she'd be like, I know.
It's called positive affirmation, babes. If someone's gotta believe it, it's gotta be me. Like, oh my
I
gosh.
love the confidence. Also, if you think about it, sometimes saying, wow, I love your confidence is such a shady compliment.
True.
For real, but I don't take it that way because I do have it. And what about it?
No, it's like as if Jake, if you were to like walk in with, I don't know, like that jacket, I'm like, Jake, I'm loving your confidence right now. Like, I love it. I love that for you.
Also,
Yes.
I
It's like,
saw
oh, what happened yesterday? Like,
I saw a TikTok the other day that was like a creator saying, I don't know why some people take I love that for you as an offense. Like, whenever she gave an example, she was like, I say I love that for you when I'm talking about like my like girlfriends, and they're like, oh, I just went out and I met all these guys, and I say I love that for you because I have a boyfriend. She was like, I don't mean it in a bad way. And I was like, I always say I love that for you all the time.
Yeah.
I was just having this talk with my other friend the other day. I don't really get it. Maybe I'm stupid, but I don't understand how that's an insult when you say, wow, like I love that for you. I don't get it.
I guess it's like, I'm happy for you.
But like she just, I guess it's the context too, because as you said, like if someone goes, oh my gosh, I'm so happy I got this like scholarship or something, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm so happy for you. Like it can be like also like a form of like,
yeah,
you know, kind of being like, wow, good for you. Like I guess it just depends on the context.
yeah. That also reminds me, like, if you think about it, I've probably said this in a previous episode, but if you think about it, adding the word actually to any statement can make it shady.
Oh,
Actually,
Like, your headphones are actually nice. Like, oh my, your outfit actually looks good today.
that's the worst one possible.
Like, Jake, I just
Jake
read your
says that
essay.
because he hears it from Darian all the time. Wow, Jake, you actually did a good job.
That's that is Darian's favorite words, actually.
It's like I'm done reading Jake's essay. Jake, this is actually good.
Oh man.
Jake, thanks, Darian. Oh my god, what a compliment.
I think I'm ready to be a PI. I think I'm ready to just like write on people's like manuscripts and be like, this is actually good.
There was I was watching a TV show yesterday, and this reminded me of that was that it was like a true crime TV show, but they had this woman who was being interviewed, and she was talking about her divorced husband and her daughter, and she was like, "Yeah, don't worry, I made sure that he got to see her as much as he wanted. I mean, it's her dad." And I told my girlfriend, I was like, "That just sounds so bad, doesn't it? Like it just sounds like, oh, I allowed her father to see his daughter, you know, like I allowed it. Don't worry, guys, I allowed it." Like, it sounds so bad. It just sounds terrible.
I feel like the English language is so interesting how when you stress certain words of a sentence, it can have like a completely different meaning.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why texting has kind of ruined us a little bit. You just get the words.
Oh
For
yes.
real. Speaking
of that, oh, actually, I probably cannot say it on this podcast, this episode. But Manny was having some this undergrad was just being disrespectful to Manny, and they were going back and forth in this Slack group chat. I'm reading it, and this undergrad is being like ruthless. It's just being entirely rude, and Manny is just trying. Doesn't even have to be a part of this organization, but he's spending his extra time to help them out. And the leader or the president, whatever you call it, of that organization is just being so rude.
And he's an undergrad, like the
president? Yes, he's an undergrad. I know, and I was like, oh, my Asian self could never. I don't know, like
myself could never. Are you kidding me?
For my non-Asian friends out there, just talking back to anyone older and just being disrespectful is like a huge no within Asian culture. I mean, Jake would know because his girlfriend.
Especially when someone is helping you.
I don't talk back to her ever. She's like half my. That's still
like things you don't do around Asians. You don't walk in their house. You don't walk in our house with your shoes on, and you don't talk back to our elders, and you don't say anything mean or rude. Those are the muy importante rules in our households.
Don't show up to a party too early.
True.
That's a Latin next culture thing for sure.
Don't show up to a party too early, which is fair, honestly. And at first I was really bad at that, and I'll be honest with you. And now,
Jake was the first one there while they're still setting up.
My mom ingrained in me being on time, so I was like, if you tell me a time, I'm gonna be there at that time, and it's not a good idea.
I've learned to just not be on time for parties in general because I don't want to be the first person, because for me it's just awkward. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. Unless it's someone that I like really am comfortable and I really know them. But yeah. Or like if it's like my family, my cousins, yeah, like actually I would want to spend time with them alone before everyone comes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I retract my statement. Sometimes I will be the first person there, and sometimes I won't. It depends on how I am with you,
No, I'll be late.
Go back to the Manny thing. Manny doesn't notice when people are being disrespectful to him. He's so nice. He doesn't realize it.
Yes.
And I'll be standing with him all the time when we're planning things and stuff, and I'll get responses and be like, no, they're not being nice about this. You mean that's not a good thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like in all of Manny's responses, he was just being so respectful. And like this undergrad was just
Wait,
being
but give an example.
I don't want to tell Manny's drama for him, you know?
Well, you can edit it out.
Oh, what about I just bring Manny inside? I just bring Manny
Are
over.
you there?
But wait, actually, let me go find him. Let me go find him.
I want to hear about this. I'm actually so interested.
I didn't know about this. No, just
Oh my gosh! Congratulations! This
thank
is
you.
so good for you. This is so good. But as like, obviously, what's gonna
I
happen?
mean, yeah, I've already gotten.
That's so good.
Oh shit! Okay, let me get my phone.
Just
I'm gonna hear
bring
all
your
about
phone.
this later. I want to know the details.
So close the door real quick, and then here, put this on. The speaker's right here. I didn't bring my mic today.
That's all right.
This is the right ear. So here, I brought Manny, and he's gonna.
There's a familiar face.
Hello, your hair grew back.
Yes, my hair did grow back. Yes, as well as my beard.
All right, so
Back then,
they
yes.
want to know what this undergrad said to you.
All right.
I'm so curious.
So let me give a little bit of context here. So there's this club here, right, at the university. And I mean, they're organizing this competition where they have high schoolers submit, proposals that we then have as like graduate student editors. We then evaluate and edit and check out. You see, they weren't really as communicative as one would think. And you know what? Like, for example, they'd send out one and done emails, setting up meetings and, knowing, us grad students or anybody from grad students, postdocs, as you go up, you get more mountains and mountains of emails. Sometimes you can't track them all. And apparently they don't set up calendar invites, which makes it hard to keep track of it. So they have like a couple meetings or at least one meeting. And no grad student would show up. Actually, I learned that no grad student had showed up to those meetings, even though there's like 4 of us or something. And of course, it's because we don't have it on our calendars. So I brought this up to one of the undergrads that's a part of this like club. And he then told them in the Slack, which I am a part of.
Let's call him Thomas.
Thomas? Yeah,
I'll
Thomas.
call him Thomas.
So he brought it up to them. And like they said, like, hey, FYI, the grad students editor said to send calendar invites because apparently they had sent a Zoom meeting email. They had sent a Zoom link via email, like almost like 5 minutes before the meeting was supposed to happen. And like a bunch of us couldn't see it like at that time because it was a Sunday evening at like 6 to 7 p.m. And, most of us will see it like 2 hours later, after we're checking, after checking tens of our emails, right?
That's fair, yeah.
And like, since we're a little bit busy, it's real difficult to keep track of when the event is without a Google Calendar invite, which auto-populates our Google Calendar. And like they literally said, this is possibly a reason why none of them showed up. And it is actually the reason why none of us showed up. If it's not on our calendar, it's really hard to keep track.
Yeah.
And then the guy, Thomas.
All
right, Thomas.
Thomas.
All right. Thomas, in response to one of the undergrads, like telling him, like, this is the feedback. Like Thomas said, like, hey, I expect them to keep track of the meeting time just like everyone else. Maybe we'll send the calendar invite next time, or maybe not. So this was a little bit of the start.
Oh, the or not is so fucking shady.
So I'm like, you know what? Hey, Thomas, name's Manny. I'm one of those grad students who asked, right? Because even though the invite might be one of the hundreds of emails that come to our inboxes every day, the invite auto-populates our calendars, and especially if you already have a Zoom link, then it can be added on there. You don't have to send it via email anymore. Like, it's on there, right? That way we won't miss the meeting. We won't have to dig for your email and the Zoom link in our inbox, especially as we, get more and more advanced in our academic careers, the more emails we get per day. I'm currently like over 150 emails per day. PIs can be like triple, quadruple that. They can get like 50 emails while going down an elevator. But the point I'm making is that, it just reminds us when we need to hop on and help y'all succeed. And then I even added in an extra comment that I'm all right with Sunday evenings, but I know that other grad students, postdocs, PIs, anybody you rope in that's not an undergrad might find it difficult, especially when they try to distance themselves away from academic priorities. Yeah. They want to spend time with their families. Like, as you grow older, grad students and postdocs, you start having families, start having, partners, kids, people that you want to spend time with, especially on a Sunday evening. maybe to be more inclusive, just start, maybe reconsidering the time. That way you might have an easier time recruiting more people.
Manny, you're too nice. You're too nice. You're giving them suggestions and everything for free.
And then let me continue. I told him like a bunch of us are already on the Slack group, so y'all can just also DM us if it's very urgent. It's faster than email, and we'll actually see it. Like among 150 emails, like I can still see one Slack message that pops up as one notification. So Thomas' response, hey Manny, I'll take your notes into consideration for sending out a calendar invite. You should probably be attending the editor meeting next week. Ask the editor-in-chief when that is, if you don't know. And the club meeting is on this date. Stay on track with what the editor-in-chief assigns to y'all too. I believe some of y'all didn't complete our grading assignment. Did you complete it on time? For our last meeting, we sent out the email that it would happen and the details about it several days before. There was ample time to see it, as all the undergrads did. But I understand you grad students get a lot of junk. As for the Sunday meeting time, we sent out a when to meet at the start of the club this semester, and this was when most people were available. We recruit before choosing the meeting time, so it doesn't affect recruitment at all, actually.
All because Manny asked to send an invite.
Literally, it takes less than 15 seconds too, and I even tell them. So let me continue what I responded.
Oh my God, this is so long.
I know. Sorry about this, but I got at this point, anybody else probably would have just tuned out. They would have just said,
girl, I would have responded with fire. If you're gonna out me in the Slack group chat, I'll out you back.
Yeah, this is on a general chat too. So I'm like, just asking
not the doggies. Oh my gosh, not the doggies.
Just asking politely, like, please, autopopulate, calendar invite. It's not that hard.
Literally, I feel like Thomas could have just said, all right, gotcha. That would have resolved a lot of things. Or
Thomas is on a power trip. Thomas is on a power trip. As an undergrad,
most people respond.
Is on a power trip.
Most people respond, all right, gotcha, and not do anything.
Yes. Like, gotcha, sorry about that. We'll do next time. Yeah, that's it. Move on.
Oh man. So I went like, you know what? At this point, I'm just gonna give some feedback. I want to give some feedback that I truly want to help. And I see that they're going on a path where, this dude is like the attitude and just throwing a fit over a calendar invite, just not doing it, and just the attitude and the backsass. I mean, it's something simple. So I just want to make that known, that regarding all of their communications, all the way they onboard and operate, I literally told them I don't know who the editor-in-chief was, as I was not able to keep track of when the meeting was, because again, I don't have a calendar invite. I didn't see the actual email among the mountains of emails I get. I even said I didn't even know y'all sent out.
Petty.
Yeah, I did not even know y'all sent out the assignment. And if you hadn't even mentioned the editor-in-chief's name, it would have taken me much longer to sift and find the email he actually sent. I then went and searched his name, and I found the email hidden among the hundreds of emails I got. And they have a name and they use the abbreviated version. And you know what? It never clicked that the abbreviated version was similar to the name. So it's like this 3-letter abbreviation that you wouldn't really guess on the first try that it meant their actual name. So I'll say it, I don't mind. It's supposed to be rice neurotransmitter, but they call it RNT. And so if you're seeing it for the first time and you're not really acquainted with them, you don't really click it to that group. So I told him hey, I didn't catch it. And you know what? I'll be happy to judge and review those assignments if there's still more. Are there any submissions left? And I told him that y'all sent out an email days before the previous meeting, dude. One, I told him that I didn't see it. It didn't come up because I was searching for the actual name of the club and not the abbreviated form. And then when I actually did search and find it, I found that, that's an issue. One is that y'all are using the abbreviated form instead of the real name of the club. And also 5 days. They all sent it 5 days before the actual meeting. For a busy grad student, that's 3 weeks. 5 days is just too long for any of us to remember to come in on a Sunday evening for 1 hour without it being on a calendar invite. And then I addressed how is when to meet availability. That doesn't affect recruitment at the time that y'all send the call out, but however, later on, as y'all expand, as y'all advertise and bring more people on, especially from various backgrounds, especially from advanced degrees, to help develop more content and new initiatives, y'all may want to reconsider the time to be more inclusive. Again, as per the reasons above. Although, again, I personally don't mind as long as it's on my calendar to remind me.
The fact that you took the time out of your day
I
to write
know.
that is when I know it's serious. Because you can barely catch a break.
Let's skip to response, the really rude one.
Oh yeah, dude. Like I said, like I told him, like you shouldn't call like all the emails we get as junk. Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas.
Yes. So we told him like, it's not junk because there's like sizable portion that's coming from y'all, but we get like 10 emails. Like undergrads get like 1 to 2 emails per day. We get hundreds. That's just how it grows, right? But skipping all that. I told him outright and bluntly, why are you throwing a hissy fit? Oh no. Why does it feel like you're throwing a fit over making a calendar invite, which takes less than 15 seconds to do, but streamlines everything, right? Especially when you're running a volunteer-based club, an org, it just makes your life easier, our lives easier, and ensures we all know when we're meeting, instead of having to ask in the group, are we meeting this Sunday?
Well, his blood is boiling at this point.
And I told him, like, again, use the Slack group, Use the Slack group. They even have a group called graduate students. Like in the channel, there's a channel in the group called graduate students. They never use it. So you can just ping us and we'd all see it. Any case.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, and then here's his response.
We're gonna read this message and then we're gonna
talk about it. Like
we'll have to end.
Yeah. All right, we'll say. Well, then Thomas starts off by saying, Manny, for a busy grad student.
Oh, that's in quotation marks, by the way.
Who's
busy grad
who
student.
is seemingly constantly pressed for time. You sure had ample time to write an entire essay response to me. I was working over all night working on like other stuff with my nonprofits. I then saw the response and I wanted to respond to it because I wanted to take the time to provide the constructive criticism, like telling him straight up, like, hey, all this and that, and I'm happy to do it. But then he responded, I'm throwing a fit about the calendar invite. Point out the sentence in my response to your initial message where I threw a fit without injecting your subjective perspective
without all in caps
into my words. Okay, as you pointed out in your message, we did send you emails, blah, blah, blah. If you get too many emails a day and you knew this when joining the club, it would have been a good idea to let us know. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm letting you know. And you end up handling it, like throwing a tantrum. As for the question, are we having a meeting this Sunday? This shouldn't have to ever be asked because we always send out a message that the meeting is happening several days before. Again, the point flew across that, yes, as an undergrad, you get like 1 or 2 emails a day. We get hundreds. We can't see that.
It would be like an issue if like it was only like you not showing up. But the fact that none of the grad students showed up, I mean, I just think at that point, if you're asking the grad students for help, like, I don't know why I'm telling you it's a power trip because ain't nobody got time for that. Like, who has time to be petty, especially to a grad student? Like, I'm so sorry. Like, what are you going to tell them? They have a degree higher than you, babes.
I know.
Like,
I know. Manuel is never going to see a message like that. And this is nothing against you, Manuel, but everything that I am a part of Manny with, I always end up reminding him that we have to do it. And that's just, and that's fine. And that's totally fine. But I've never seen anyone who is as busy as Manuel, besides like Jersey. Like I've never seen anyone.
Also, I would say that you're the busiest grad student in the lab. Like you're doing everything.
You're the busiest grad student I've ever met.
Yeah, and also I want to reiterate that Manny does not have to do this. He's volunteering his time for this.
I always like to help, and like I see him, like the way he responds, it's not going to be like even moving forward. It's going to hurt the leaders after him. Yeah, that's what's the issue here. Is that I'm not doing it just for me, because he even goes on like, the one that really sealed the deal is that we wanted you to participate, but you've done nothing. Why does it feel like you are blaming us for your own shortcomings? We treated you just like all the other members, but if you wanted a different treatment, then you should have expressed this to us. And unfortunately, it seems you have created some bad blood between the two of us. I'm not sure if I can still count on you to be a valuable participating member without constantly feeling at odds with me. At the end of the day, this is an undergrad club. You grad students could be a nice addition if you participated, but are ultimately of secondary importance. And then he says something about
secondary importance.
I know. To placate you, let me say that we will send a calendar invite for the next meeting, which will be completely in person, by the way, as it is a social event. You can also reach out to the editor-in-chief and ask that he communicates with you through Slack. Now, to placate me, I want you to tell me that we're good and that you want to stay in the club and that you will actually participate. If you don't want to stay, then tell me that instead. You have until Friday at midnight to decide. And Manny, don't write another essay. And he ends it like,
Manny, what?
And Manny, don't write me another essay. 3 dots.
Okay. Oh, blood
Manny,
is
please
boiling.
tell me you quit that club. Nobody deserves that. Like, you don't deserve to be wasting your time or energy on someone like that. That man has a power trip or clearly has not been humbled yet. Okay?
Let's switch.
Has
I'm
not
gonna
been humbled
end this
yet.
podcast real quick. I got to say my closing remarks. Oh, okay. That was. I don't like this.
The end of this
Okay.
is that we're gonna meet over Zoom later this week. So if you want to hear part 2, we can talk about it in another episode.
Oh my! We'll have to follow. This is
It's
annoying, but it's also juicy. All right, update. It's a few weeks after we recorded this episode. So Manny, updates on the situation?
Oh no, the guy was chill. Like we cleared the air, and so now like that same day we recorded a podcast to talk with him, cleared it up, and now they're just sending calendar invites for grad students. So everything is going all right, you know. Chill dude, Thomas. You know, I got to know like exactly like if he was under pressure. And, like yeah, dude is like studying hard and working hard, and I kind of felt for him and like I don't want to cause any more pressure on him.
Yeah.
So talk to him, clear things up, make sure we understood each other.
All right, cool. Thank you for the update, Manny. All right, so I forgot to mention that at the end of my podcast, I always tell my guests in general, if there's an advice that y'all like to give.
I think particularly for applying to medical school, it's going to suck regardless. It's kind of the whole point. But it's worth it in the end, I think. If you, if that's what you want to do in your life and that's what you are willing to dedicate yourself to, if you really care about it, then doing all the work, writing the hundreds of essays, trying to stand out is worth it. But also don't put too much on it. I've heard many times from admissions committees that you're all the same. And it's kind of blunt, but you are kind of all the same. And that's actually a good thing when you think about it. So you're trying to be good enough, and you will be good enough if you care about being a physician. So that's about whenever I try.
Snap.
That actually was very, I didn't mean to say actually, but that's helpful because wow.
Really, huh? Is it actually good?
That's helpful because I really didn't know that that's how commission, oh my God. Committee members. I didn't know that's how they saw a lot of the applicants that.
Oh yeah, I mean everyone's trying to compete, and the way we compete is by doing the same thing, right?
Right.
Try and do medical stuff. We all try and do research. We all trying to what's interesting is what you did, and if you can interview about it and you can talk about it really well, that's what'll set you apart. But on paper, we're all the same.
I think one of the biggest things I've learned as a first generation Latinx person is make sure that you make connections and ask people as many questions as possible.
Yes.
And that can be anywhere from like classes to just like advice on research or groups. Like I think one of the biggest things that has gotten me to where I've been or where I am right now is just asking questions, and not even just from like the official people like at your university or somewhere, but a lot of times the people who have gone through the experiences. So like if you're interested in research, ask people who are doing research. If you're interested in, for example, studying abroad, I asked someone who is studying abroad. So I think that's one of the biggest like resources, is that have a community behind you, and just that's how I've gotten to where I'm at, and the relationships you build will motivate you and push you to go even further.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. These are actually really good advices. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, Darian, you're actually so kind.
I mean, Darian's actually kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
To any undergrads out there, don't be like Thomas. Send calendar invites. Send calendar invites. It'll help you even for your future too.
And to undergrads out there, believe me, as someone who is really not a grad student, but spends all my time with grad students, they are busy. They are very busy.
And as an undergrad student, please be humble. We still got a lot to learn, baby. Okay, like you still got time to learn.
Paula, you're awesome. You're awesome. Like, don't worry. Like, you're
like don't let the grads, like if there are like very bad grad students, don't let them bully you, but also be humble. Like also be humble, because there's so much to learn from people. Like don't let like a conflict like Thomas prevent you from learning from someone.
Grad students are busy, but it doesn't mean they're better than you, but they are busier.
Yeah.
All right, thank y'all so much. And everyone, thank you for listening to Scientifically Speaking, and we'll see you we'll see you next time. Well, thanks for listening. How about that? Thanks for listening. I know I suck at these endings. I suck. I know. Okay. Stop calling me out. Shit. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I hope you have a great day.